Hundreds of millions of people spend all day long with their face glued to their phone, right? You've seen it. You know what I'm talking about. And they're using iPhones and they're using Android phones. But you know what's really missing in the marketplace? And that's Windows Phone. And Windows Phone has seen its market share fall to a pathetic 1.7% of the global market. Do you realize that's less than 2 out of 100 smartphone buyers are considering Windows Phone? That means they simply don't want it, and it is a total failure in the marketplace. And Microsoft needs to have these devices in front of your face. That's where you want to be if you want to survive in a world of mobile. And Microsoft knows this, and yet, just recently, according to an interview with Satya Nadella in January, I believe it was the 3rd, Satya basically felt like he was giving up on Windows Phone, and he's taking the attitude, well, yes, but so what? Phone's a phone. Xbox, PC, all that, they're all nodes, and where we really want to be at is the highway. We want to deliver the highway where all these nodes are going. We want to control the infrastructure that makes the world of mobile run. Sounds fine and dandy, but he's absolutely bullshitting his investors, and he's bullshitting you, the consumer. He doesn't have an answer. Look, you want to talk about infrastructure? Amazon is poised just to beat the crap out of Microsoft with services such as AWS. Google has their products as well. And don't forget, a lot of the net runs on Linux. So Microsoft's got a huge challenge ahead if they forego having quality mobile devices and giving people a compelling experience to have it. Now, Windows Phone is a good OS. I like it. Unfortunately, the hardware has been kind of meh. Take a look at their flagship 950 and its big brother, the 950 XL. Basically decent hardware, but certainly not, comparable, in my opinion, to the iPhone 6s or maybe the Galaxy series of phones as well. Great cameras, but their flagship phone comes with a pathetic 32 gigabytes of storage. Of course, it does have a micro SD card slot as a saving grace, and it does have a great camera. But one of the downfalls of Windows Phone has been mediocre hardware with a great operating system, but it's just not selling. So what can they do? Well, if you ever heard of a program called Twit recently, and it was in December, Chris Capicella, he's the Chief Marketing Officer for Microsoft. He knows what's going on. Here's what he has to say. He says, we need some sort of spiritual equivalent on the phone side that doesn't just feel like a phone for people who love Windows. It's got to be a phone where it's like, wow, this is a real shock. This is a real breakthrough. And for an Apple customer, that's going to make me pause before I buy my 17th iPhone. And we actually need to go build that. And what he's referring to, of course, is a Surface phone. It is my opinion that it's time for Microsoft to rebrand, lose that whole Lumia name, get rid of the Nokia name, and Surface, and develop a Surface phone. And I think they could do that. It's all about the ecosystem, right? It's about being in front of hundreds of millions of users. It's about winning the mobile space, and you got to have the devices out there. Owning the infrastructure behind it's great, but guess what? This is where the action's at. This is where you need to be, and you need to be in the hands of hundreds of millions of people, and you need to create that demand. And there's no doubt about it, Microsoft did a great job with Surface, especially the Surface Pro 4. Well, the Surface Pro 3. Surface Pro 4 is wonderful devices. Even the Surface 3 looks pretty incredible. The Surface Book, I'm not quite so sure about, but I do believe that Microsoft needs a total rebrand, get the premium hardware, match the hardware, and make it better. See, that's the thing when you're in competition, you can't be just as good as the other guy. You've got to be better, and I mean in a big, big way. And that's what Microsoft needs to do. They need to roll out a new series of phones that are beautiful, well-designed, great cameras, great experience. Use that premium Surface name, and people will be clamoring for those devices. I guarantee they'll want to that's how the iPhone got so big in the enterprises, because people wanted to take their devices with them to work, and the enterprise had no choice but to begin adopting the iPhone. And of course, the same thing with Android phones. It's purely a business practicality that Microsoft does not concede that it lost the phone wars. But sometimes you have to lose the battle to win the war. And I think Microsoft can pull it off with a total rebrand, the Surface phone and make a real competitor to the iPhone, as well as some of the Samsung phones, HTC phones, etc. But I want to get your thoughts in the comments down below. Bruce Taylor. Until the next one, everybody, take care.